Hi, good morning. Happy Friday. I'm looking for my notes, y'all, because we might be here for a while. We might be here for a while. Here we go. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Because I have so much to say. Good morning. Happy Friday. It's still cold as a hooker's heart outside. How did y'all enjoy Wednesday? I had so much fun with you guys. We're back being Miss McKinney Esquire today. So don't come over here with none of that honest tea mess. Keep that over there for Wednesday night lives. Um, I want to get right into it because I have so much to say. Is there a filter on? Make it go away. I did not like that. Yes. Oh, I did not like that. I cannot stand a filter. Um, was anybody else flabbergasted? Was anybody else's flabbergasted? I said, excuse me, say what? Because when I heard the judge say, "Is Brian Walsh going to?" First of all, can you guys hear me? How do I sound? Am I good? Y'all know StreamYard does not like my microphones, and I've tried like six. Um, when the judge stood up and said, "Is Brian Walsh testifying today?" I don't know. My naive mind thought she meant like today, like first. Because usually, that if the defendant is testifying, they go last. So I thought she meant, is he testifying today? And then when he say, when she said, "Oh, so all this research I did for these five motions is moot," then excuse, excuse me, say what? Excuse me, say what? You manipulative little bastard. The judge was pissed. Do you hear me? The judge was pissed because it is his right. It is his constitutional right to decide at the umpteenth hour that I don't want to testify. That is fine. But what judges hate more than you violating someone's rights is you wasting a jury's time. For some reason, sometimes the judge feels like the jury is the king of the courtroom, which can be annoying at times because the jury is not the king of the courtroom. The defendant is the king of the courtroom. But judges understand that if we make juries miserable to be on, no one will come back. And if I knew that you were about to rest your goddamn case, we could have done that on Wednesday and told the jury, don't worry about coming in on Thursday. We got stuff to do. Y'all come back on Friday. I think that manipulative little bastard, first of all, obviously he intended on testifying, and obviously he told his lawyer he was going to testify. There's no other reason the lawyer gives that type of opening. There's no other reason does a lawyer give that type of opening. Now, I think that Tipton is a very good defense attorney. I think he and his team have done amazing things with, hold on, chaotic kids, because I got a theory too. Um, Amazing things with the tools that they have in their possession. I think they have done amazing things. But I think up until the day the judge asks your client whether they testify, I don't think you do an opening like that. And I think if we ask him, he would have a completely different view of what he should have said. He could have done that same opening and said, "We don't know how Anna Walsh died. We don't have any proof how Anna Walsh died." He did not have to say, you will get evidence that Brian Walshe went downstairs. Because first of all, you cannot enter the defendant's state of mind, the defendant's conscience, what the defendant knows, information you learned from the defendant without the defendant sitting on the stand. So you telling us that story in opening, which could only come from Brian Walshe, you're only able to tell if Brian Walshe corroborates it. And this, I think, is all manipulation. I think it's all manipulation. And I think he's very manipulative, and I think he's very narcissistic. My theory is, now I got kind of kiss you, tell me yours. My theory is that little long-faced bastard thinks he's got it in the bag. He thinks there's no need for me to testify. I don't think they've proved premeditation. There's no need for me to testify, so I'm not going to do it. Not realizing that a jury's sitting there, because any juror worth anything, anybody who has at least a high school education, picked up on the fact that what Tipton was saying in that opening was that Brian Walshe was going to testify. There's no other way around it. So to get up there Thursday and have him stand up and say the defense rests is fucking crazy. But can you imagine being a juror, getting into court, having that man stand up and say the defense rests, and all this time you have been in your mind saying, wonder what Brian's going to say about that. Wonder what he's going to say about that. I wonder what he's going to say about that. I can't wait till he try to explain that. And then he get up there and says the defense rests, and you can't even say what the fuck to anybody. We have to give the jurors some credit, because they can't even say what the fuck. I feel like if I was on that jury, that would have been the day I've been put off, because I would have audibly said, excuse me. I would have audibly said, what did you say? They can't even look over to their neighbor and go, what the fuck? They gotta hold it all in. And I know that they are saying, what the fuck? I think he thinks he's good to go. I don't need to, because he was only going to hurt it. He was not going to help it. He was not going to help it. He was only going to hurt it. And so he decided, you know what? He thinks we're in a good position. I don't think they proved premeditation. And so I don't want to do it. At the umpteenth hour. And that the judge was pissed. His lawyer was pissed. Because I think from what I've seen of Tipton, he seems like a very upstanding, very skilled, very by the book, respectful of the court attorney. And he knows that he wouldn't have given that opening had you told me you were on the fence about testifying. I think he's annoyed that he did that. I think he is irritated that you made me look crazy out here. When Tipton stood up and said, I'm sorry, I knew that it was that bastard at the end, the 19th minute, who said, you know what, I'm not doing it. He said, do you know what I got up? Do you know what I just got up there and said? Did you hear me? Do you know we can't take that back? But then he's such a good lawyer, he still fights for his client and tries to fight for the prosecution not to be able to mention it. They've already said they're not going to mention it. First of all, these prosecutors have to be very new, or they're being very careful. They're being very careful because of the atmosphere in Norfolk County, or they're very new. Because what do you mean they've agreed they're not going to mention it? You out your goddamn mind if you think I'm not mentioning it. You out your goddamn mind if you think I'm not mentioning it. Because he didn't testify. There is no evidence before this court that Anna just dropped dead. None at all. Because if Brian was never testifying, I think the prosecution objects to all of those questions from the medical examiner as irrelevant. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit that people can drop dead? We don't have no evidence that she dropped dead. I object to all those questions as irrelevant. Only reason they let them in is because they think they're about to get Brian on the stand. I think they're being careful too because mentioning it it would be a very tight rope, right? You would definitely be towing the line of he didn't get up there and tell you that, which is shifting the burden, which is a problem. But I would at least say we don't got no evidence that she dropped dead. And you know why we don't have no evidence that she dropped dead? Because we never found her body. You know why we never found her body? Because Brian Walsh cut it up and disposed of it all over the metro Massachusetts area. And nobody does that to people who just dropped dead. I mean, my flabbers were gasted. Do you hear me? I said, excusez-moi. What did you say? You're not going to do what? Could you imagine being a juror and not being able to say that to anybody? Not being able to be like, what the fuck just happened? What do you think happened? You can't say that to nobody. Oh, I would be put off because I would have audibly, you would have heard it come out of my mouth. What the fuck? What the fuck? Well, what happened to that opening statement? What he told us, I would be a mistrial because I wouldn't be able to handle it. Well, let's go back because we're actually 2 days behind, guys. So let's go back. Day 7 was very annoying. Apparently, they shut down the entire lab system to have everybody, and I do mean everybody, come testify that they touched it here, they touched the blood there, they touched it here. I wonder if after this case they shorten that link in the chain. I mean, I said they had to close the lab. Nobody's blood is getting tested today because everybody's in this goddamn courtroom. Every single one of them. It's like every single person in the world who works in that lab came in. I was step 1, I was step 2, I was 2A, I was 2B, and all I did was melt it, and all I did was put it on the tray. And they did all of that because they know that this particular defense was going to be like, well, we don't know what happened between here and here, which again, y'all, I know I'm trying to not compare this to Karen Reed, but you had 17,000 lab techs come in and go step by step what they did with this blood. And in Karen Reed's case, they're like, yeah, we came and put it in some Stop and Shop bags. It just feels like this case makes the cover up in Karen Reed's case so much more believable. So much more believable. Because I'm going to be honest, I felt like something was covered up, but I wasn't sure what. And I just felt like it's so far-fetched. But the more I hear of this case, the more I lean to, oh no, it was a definite cover up over there. It was definitely done ridiculously to botch the investigation so that they didn't have a clear stream of touching. Anywho, we're going to get off here and read. But every time I hear something from this case, I'm like, where was all of this? Y'all got all of this power? Y'all got all of these protocols? Y'all have the name of every single person who ever touched this item? Where was all of this organization? Any hootie. Did y'all see one of the lab techs name was like Mary Nagel? My eye started twitching. I heard that goddamn Nagel name in my eye. I said, who is that? Who the hell is that? Is that her sister? I don't know if she's related to Julie Nagel, but y'all know how I feel about Julie Nagel. I'll never get over it. I'll never get over it. Anywho, of course, Brian and Anna's DNA was all over everything. And I believe I was on the fence about premeditation. I believe at the end of the prosecution's case, they proved premeditation, and I'm going to tell you after we get done talking. I'm going to tell you why I think they have proved premeditation after I get done talking. But girl, yes, I saw that damn Nagel name, and I said, curse. Curse is on you and your family. But if you're not related to Julie, then I'm sorry. No curse on you. Something about that something about that town made me feel like everybody related to everybody. Anywho, so we get past day 7 with all the DNA people, and we get to day 8, and we hear from Jimu, I don't know what his name is, and oh, I was so frustrated. Good morning, Team Wicked Smart. I was so frustrated with his testimony and I was frustrated with his testimony, and I was frustrated with how they were treating him. Number one, because he kept wanting to say, well, I don't remember exactly. Sir, we know. Sir, we know. Your friend has been murdered. I know you don't remember exactly. After your friend was murdered, you didn't lock that last conversation in your head, at least the gist, at least most of it. I don't know, you guys. It just feels like some stuff I'm not going to forget. And him kept saying, well, I don't remember exactly. I don't remember. You know why you're here, right? You know why you're here. Do you not know why you're here? So he was frustrating me. And when they called him, my immediate thought was, wait, where's Anna's best friend? Where's Anna's best friend? Why are we talking to this man who clearly doesn't know anything and can't remember anything? And I don't even think it's that he can't remember anything. I think he's just a man. Have you ever tried to ask a man the details of a story? You don't want to shoot yourself in the face. My co-host Samika, her husband came home and said, hey babe, a man died at work. What are your immediate questions after your husband tells you that? What? Who? I don't know. How? I don't know. When? I don't know. You know, a man never has the details. They never have the details or retain the information. What do you mean somebody died at work and you didn't immediately go get all the information you can get? What are you talking about? So I gave him a little bit of grace because he's a man. Can't remember nothing. Don't have no details. But then after they were talking to him, I said, he's frustrating me. But where's Anna's best friend? That's who's going to have all the tea. And then they get her good friend up there because that is not Anna's best friend. And I know that Anna, I don't know when she moved to the United States, but this girl said she had only been her best friend within the last year. So that's not Anna's best friend. Where is Anna's best friend? Let me tell you something. My best friend knows every single thing about me. We have been friends over 20 years. And that heifer knows everything there is to know about me. Okay? That heifer knows all of my tea. If ever something was to happen to me, she's first on the stand. You know how they won't let you tell them what they were thinking? That one can tell you what I was thinking. It was irritating me that they wouldn't let them say marital problems because nobody speaks that way. You can't on one hand tell me you don't have to remember exactly what they said and then tell me I can't say marital problems because nobody says I'm having marital problems. That's not how they speak. But what they say essentially means I'm having marital problems. That was a digression. I don't know why I just thought about that. Let's go back to the best friend. That bitch knows everything. 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 There's no way my best friend would not know I'm having an affair. When she said she did not know that she was having an affair, she lost a little bit of best friend credibility to me. I didn't see you as her best friend. There's no way I'm having an affair for as long as they're having an affair for. And my best friend doesn't know. If I'm planning my life, if I'm getting shit together on the back end to leave my husband, my best friend knows about it. And the bitch went to Home Goods with me to pick out a picture for my new house. Okay. She just like you're a good friend to her, but she ain't trust you as her best friend yet. Because I'm going to tell you what, the Christmas incident, if my best friend's husband cannot find her and then he calls me, he's going to be able to tell by my reaction if she's really missing or if she's lying. I'm going to tell, first of all, I have that bitch's location. Okay. And if ever I go randomly check her location, because I do randomly check her location, and if it says location not found, doop, 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 doop. Excuse me, bitch, where you at? Why I can't see where you at? Fix it now. There is not a time that I cannot pinpoint precisely tell you where my best friend is. So if her husband calls me and says to me, hey, I haven't seen Tiana, he's going to be able to tell by my reaction whether or not she's actually missing or if that bitch somewhere lying. Because I'm going to say either one of two things. He's going to say, hey, I haven't heard from Tiana. Have you heard from her? If I actually don't know, I'm like, what you mean? What are you talking about? What do you mean you haven't heard from her? Hold on, let me check her location. I can't see her location. Hold on, let me call her. Oh, she ain't answering the phone. Here I come. That's it. The fact that she was like, he called me back 10 minutes later and I hadn't left the house means you're not that girl's best friend. Because if I actually don't know what my best friend is, I'm already one boot on when I look up her location and I can't see it. And you tell me you haven't heard from her. And matter of fact, I'm about to be sitting at your kitchen table looking this man in the eye because you always the first suspect. Where my friend at? That's number one. But if I answer the phone and he say, hey, I haven't heard from Tiana, you know where she at? If I say, no, let me check. He can be he's gonna be able to tell there's no panic. He's gonna be like, all right, can you tell her to call me, please? Because there is not a time that my best friend, first of all, she would never cheat on her husband. She loves her husband. But if she ever did, I know when she's going to that man and I know when she's coming home because she told me if my husband start looking for me, this is what's going on. The fact that this friend did not have any of that information makes me feel like y'all were close, but I wouldn't give you our best friend. And I wonder if there's anybody on the jury like that. Because her not knowing about that affair would have made me feel like your information is kind of shaky then. I don't really know what she told you and what she didn't tell you. And it's irritating me that there is not someone intimately connected to Anna to be able to be like, yeah, she hated that man and she was waiting for him to go to jail. And she told me this and she said this and this is what she was feeling because she said it out her mouth. I just feel bad that she doesn't have anybody like that. Where is her sister? Where is her mother? I know her mother is sick, but I just feel like everybody should have somebody. I know, nurse of interest. I know she didn't want to tell, but that type of information you can't really keep. It will eat at you because at the end of the day, you are cheating. You need to tell somebody, and that's what best friends are for. He ain't gonna tell your husband. That's what best friends are for. So the fact that she said the psychic said you're having an affair, and she didn't even say, "Girl, that's crazy." The psychic said I'm having an affair, and do you know I am having an affair? She like, what? No, I'm not. To her friend, it's odd. It's odd to me. It's also odd, Mama Walshe. Now, Helena was the one who said that she thought the mom was in on it. And I was like, why do you think that? I have changed my stance. That mama knew. And that's why he was at her house. And I feel like he didn't know the incineration schedule of the dumpsters, but the mama did. Why is you got psychics coming up behind your daughter-in-law? It feels like he's a mama's boy and he has one of those mamas that nobody was ever going to be good enough for him. So he hated her. She hated her and made her life a living fucking hell. Because what do you mean you got a psychic that said I was having an affair? I don't think it was no psychic. I think it was that private investigator. See, all lies have a little bit of truth. Right. And you remember Brian in his initial interview saying, my mom hired a private investigator. That's where you heard she was having an affair. It wasn't no goddamn psychic. It was the private investigator, which is why I believe Brian knew about the affair. There wasn't no psychic. It was the private investigator, but you didn't want to let her know that you had a private investigator telling her. So what do you say? My mom said a psychic. My mom said a psychic said you having an affair. See, this is the thing. I think Helena, about the messages. I think that Tipton is right. I think that again, with every lie, there's a little bit of truth because you got to mix in some truth with the lie to make it seem plausible. We learned that from Lil Woody over there in YSL. But I don't think her messages were coming to that iPad. I think maybe her Facebook messages were because they never recovered Anna's phone and they could never get anything out of her phone. If her messages were coming to the iPad, they would have been backed up somewhere. Like, I don't think that her messages were logged into the iPad. I think all of Brian's information was logged into the iPad except whatever Facebook. I think Brian absolutely knew about the affair. And then before we heard from the best friend though, we heard from his probation officer. And let me tell you something. If that is what federal probation is like, find me a bank. And I don't want to rob it for enough money to absolutely send me to prison. Just enough that I can be out on bail. Fresh on bail. The hoochie screaming. Because that probation officer was ridiculous. Why does he need a 3-hour window to take his trash out? Why does he need a 3-hour window each way? I did see that numbers. I did see that little Woody lost his baby. Oh my God, it's so sad. Um, Why does he need a 3-hour window each way to take the kids and pick them up from school? Why does he need a 2 hours to get his hair cut? That's basically the whole goddamn day. So he's just outside. He's not on house arrest. He do what the hell he want to do. And that is why he was able to go to Home Depot and Lowe's and CVS and the liquor store and everywhere in between. Because what do you mean? You not like it's like she's just accepting shit. And here's the thing, y'all know every once in a while I gotta bring in a little racism. I gotta bring in a little racism. Because my black cousin on federal probation would never get that much free time. Would never get that much. He would never get 3 hours to drop his kids off, ever. They would say, you got 15 minutes. How far away is the school? He would never get 4-hour window to take his mama back home without a note from the mama doctor to say she's actually staying with him and she actually had the surgery and she actually got to go back home. Like, why does he have a full day outside and he's on house arrest? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. That probation officer pissed me off because you are now accessory, if you ask me. Only reason he was able to go, and I'm irritated that the prosecution didn't ask, how would you know if he deviated from this plan? How would you know if he took 3 hours and it only take him 20 minutes to drop the kids off and he went the other 2 hours to the movie theater? How would you know? You should lose your job. And I really hate to say people should lose their livelihood, but you should go do something else. Probation is not for you. People are on probation and parole and house arrest because they are criminals. Criminals. And if you don't feel like watching over criminals, then do something else. Because that man was able to lollygag and dilly-dally all around town whenever he got ready. Whenever he got ready. I wonder, do you feel any sort of remorse? Because why even don't he have on an ankle monitor? So why don't y'all have the locations of where he need to go? Why as soon as he walked in the Lowe's, that ankle monitor didn't go beep, 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 out of range, out of range. Don't ask me how I know the sound. Don't ask me how I know what it sound like. I just know. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell y'all why I think this murder was premeditated. I think this murder was absolutely premeditated. I don't think it went how he wanted it to go, which is why we have the frantic blood searches at 3 o'clock in the morning. I think he intended to kill her and maybe place her somewhere or even say she died sporadically and then she fought back and things did not go how he intended them to go. Here's why I think it was premeditated. When Jim or Jen or whatever his name is said that Brian told me he had lost his phone, I don't think so. I don't think he lost his phone. I think he intentionally hid his phone and he needed another person, another witness to say, oh yeah, Brian hasn't had his phone in days. So he could do whatever he needed to do afterwards. Because as somebody just said, the ankle monitor didn't have GPS. He needed to do what he needed to do afterwards, and he needed to have lost his phone days before. So it wasn't weird that he didn't have his phone. The fact that he had previously asked his probation officer to take his mother home during a certain part of the day when his mother is not even staying with them. On the first or the second, I can't remember which one of those days, but one of those days, he asked for that time a week ahead of time. He asked for that time a week ahead of time. I think something went wrong. And he something went wrong with the way he wanted to kill her, and her body looked like she had been killed. There was blood coming from somewhere, and he said, "Shit, I gotta change on the fly." I'm sorry, Kim. I meant to call you, girl. We got to change on the fly. And that's when the rest of it came up. And the only reason he found his phone, I don't think he saw Jim, whatever his name is, texted both of them right the next day. Texted both of them, "I love my necklace." I think he had Anna's phone at that time, saw that Jim had texted, and was like, fuck. If Anna doesn't text him back, that's weird. They talk all the time. But she can't text him back. I can't text him back from Anna's phone because my story is going to be that she left at 6 a.m. So now I gotta act like I found my phone and text him back. Because remember, he said, "I rarely talk to Brian anymore. I'm more Anna's friend." But somebody got to respond to this man because we just saw him. So it's gonna have to be me. So I gotta say, "Oh, found my phone." No, you never lost the phone. You never lost the phone. And then when he got everything cleaned up, round about the 4th, because he got Anna's phone now, he knows he's supposed to be meeting her boo on the 4th. Now I gotta start telling people she missing. Because if she don't show up there, it's gonna be a problem. All right. Now I gotta do my thing. Gotta put on my acting. I think that he planned to kill her. It just went wrong. Something went wrong. Do I think he planned for it to happen that night, or did he jump the gun? I think he planned for it to happen that day at least. Maybe even that night. I think that he was not rushing Jim out the door because that would be too suspicious, but he wanted somebody to see her besides him. It could not have been just a family New Year's Eve, because then nobody would have seen her since the 27th. He needed somebody to see her. So Jim can be like, "Well, it was just a couple hours ago. I just saw her a couple hours ago." I think all of that is premeditated. I think the fact that he called her on Christmas, I think that the fact that he called her friend on Christmas was part of the premeditation. This is how far in advance I think this man was thinking about what I'm going to do. Because remember, her friend said Anna was mad because I had just talked to him maybe an hour or so before. I think he called the friend so that when he called to start looking for her a couple days later, it didn't look odd, because what was he going to say? "Well, I had just did that and she got mad, so I just assumed, she was going to call me. I had just started looking for her real soon, and then she got mad, so I didn't want to do that again. So it doesn't look odd that you're not looking for your wife for 4 days." I don't think she would have seen a divorce lawyer till that man went to jail. I think she was playing it real close to the vest. I think it's absolutely premeditated. It's going to be what those jurors think. We got closing arguments today, and I can't wait. And I really surely gave them 45 minutes. I feel like that's not enough time. I feel like that's not enough time. I would say they at least need an hour and a half. I don't see the defense using an hour and a half, but I can see the prosecution using an hour and a half. 45 minutes. You'll be surprised how fast 45 minutes goes when you're talking. This is what I'm saying, Helena. If my if my best friend's husband calls me and said I haven't heard from her, and I actually haven't heard from her, why did she say I called her and she didn't answer the phone? Because why didn't you call her? Why are you automatically going to her house? Why didn't you say, hold on, let me call her? That's why that girl was not her best friend, and I that's probably the closest they can get. But I feel bad that there's nobody who could really, really, really speak from honest perspective. Like really give it everything. Like I just feel bad. Because I feel like in a lot of this, in the way they presented this case and how they very rarely showed Anna's face, I just feel like she kind of got lost in this prosecution. And that makes me so sad because my friend would be up there like, I remember exactly what she said. Let me tell you. Well, first, on this day, she said that they was fighting because of this. And then that day, she said they was fighting because of this. And then she told me she was going to leave him. And then she started having an affair with this other guy who she really liked, and she had moved down to DC, and she was really gonna move her kids in there. Like my friend would have the tea, all of it, all the tea. I feel like he planned to do something to her. He planned to make her be missing, but I think the chopping up was after the fact. Whatever he did to her, he knew that nobody could find her body like that and not think she was murdered. That came after, which, however, he intended to kill her didn't work. Something made her start bleeding, which is why we got blood on the house shoes, blood on the slippers. That blood comes before he goes to Home Depot. That's why he got to go get the soup and the buckets and how to clean blood out of wood after a murder. See, because what the defense saying doesn't make any sense. Because if she dropped dead, there's no blood in the wood yet. You haven't went to Home Depot to get the tools to cut her up. There's no blood in the wood yet. Why do you need to know how to get blood out of wood? There's no DNA on a knife yet. You don't even know you're going to use a knife. Why are you checking to see how to get DNA off a knife? Unless you cut her with the knife. There's no blood on the carpet yet. Why do you need to know how to get blood out of carpet? Because I think at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:45 in the morning, there was blood in the wood and there was blood in the carpet. And he didn't intend that. That's not what he intended to do. I think how he was like, when they actually talked to him and they're like, have y'all found her car? I think he knew that her car was not at her apartment. It was, at the building. And that was going to be part of his lie. That was going to be part of his lie. See, she went to DC. Maybe she's there somewhere. I think he absolutely premeditated this murder. And I think his mom knew at least after the fact. At least after the fact. My dumpsters incinerate every Tuesday at 5 p.m. So you got to have her in there before then. And don't put the whole body in there. It got to be in pieces. So nobody will know what it is. and don't put everything in the same dumpsters. He's an idiot. That sounds like mama's work. That seemed like mama's work. I don't think it was a crime of passion, a chaotic kiss, because crime of passion is it can be premeditated, but it's also instant. I don't think it was instant. I think him hiding his phone, saying he lost it. I think him requesting that span of time from his probation officer a week ahead of time. I think him calling on Christmas and acting like she's missing and acting like he's just overdoing it. I think all of that is him setting breadcrumbs up. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to get it done. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to use, but I'm going to do something. Hold on, you guys. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to use, but I'm going to use something. I think all of that is him planning. And I think they prove premeditation. What the jury thinks and what the jury heard and what the jury remembers is going to be interesting. But I think he lost this case I think he lost the case when he stood up and said defense rest. I think if they were on the fence and they just needed to hear what he had to say, if he sticks to his story and don't give them any extra, maybe I could see murder too. I think the defense rests. He lost this case. He lost his case with that because you just told us you were going to give us all the information we need. You were going to fill in all these gaps. And I'm sitting here waiting. I feel like once you tell the jury that they are everything they hear, they're listening to with the caveat of, I wonder what Brian's going to have to say about that. I wonder what he's going to say about that. I wonder how he's going to explain that. I wonder what he's going to say when they ask him about that. And then you say you're not testifying. I know they're not supposed to use it against you, but we're only human, honey. But we're only human, honey. I'm not supposed to use the fact that you didn't testify against you, but we're only human. And I have to use it against you a little bit when you told me that you were. You told me that you were. And the defense arguing whether or not they can get up there in closing and argue about um un unintended or unexpected death is ridiculous. There has been no evidence related to Anna Walshe that she unexpectedly died. Hell, you could say aliens came down and stuck her in the throat with a rehydration gun if you want to, but it doesn't make any fucking sense. You've put no evidence before this jury that that's what happened. So how are you going to argue it in your closing argument? You're going to argue that people can die? Yeah, people can do a lot of shit. People can do a lot of shit. Tell me where we see that at, though. Show me the evidence of that. What we have evidence of is blood all over them house shoes. And you losing your phone. And you not reporting her dead for 4 days. And you calmly, lackadaisically strolling around Home Depot and Lowe's and using that girl's gift cards. How low down can you be? The Tyvek suit, and why you need two? And it don't look like Brian can fit no medium. All that neck. All that neck not going in no medium nothing. And not you didn't killed this girl and gonna take her gift cards and go shopping. Ain't that about a bit? Ain't that about a bit? It's ridiculous. Just ridiculous. You gonna take my gift card after you didn't cut me? I hope she haunt him to this day. I hope every time he closes his eyes, there she is. And I wonder how long before those kids understand what happened. Because all of this happened, not all of it, maybe not the chopping. Maybe he did that while they were at school. But at least the murder happened while the kids were at home. I wonder if they heard something, but they're kids, so they're not really sure how to explain it or what it was, or they even clocked it. But some of that stuff can come up later. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, especially for that oldest boy. I wonder if he, like, later in his life, this memory is going to come flying back in his head. I hope not. I hope it doesn't, for the sake of him and having a normal life. But I wonder if it will. Because so before I get out of here, gotta go to work, you guys. Gotta go to work. But also before I get out of here, I wonder where's the nanny? I would love, because where is Anna's body when the nanny comes over? This is what I'm saying, Kim. This is my point. I don't think he dismembered her at that house. I think something happened where there was a lot of blood there. But I don't think he dismembered her there, because where you're not gonna just leave the house with another human in it and her body's downstairs. Who knows? She could just, I get maybe the landlord did say ain't nothing in the basement. It's cold down there, it's dark, it's just his stuff down there. So maybe, maybe, maybe. Hmm. That's also true. The ring cameras. The ring cameras. Did anybody got him coming and leaving his house? Walk my dog up the street, and I feel like every single person on my block has a ring camera. You can't do nothing on this block. Somebody gonna have the video. Don't know if he moved her and dismembered her somewhere else. Nobody got a ring camera over there to see when he went in and out the house with a body. This is what I'm saying, Helena. Like, sometimes I want to say he dismembered her somewhere else, but how? When did he move her whole body out of the house? That's risky business. And then move it into somewhere else to dismember it. That's risky business. But it's also risky to have a nanny in your house and have a body downstairs, which is probably why he Googled how long before a body starts to smell. Huh. I have questions. I have questions. And I want to see this closing argument. If I'm the prosecution, my closing argument sounds, who's talking to me? Hold on one second. I could have turned my camera off, but y'all know how we do around here. Anywho, If I'm the prosecution, first of all, I mentioned how ridiculous it is that she dropped dead. That's just ridiculous. I mentioned how ridiculous it is because our immediate searches aren't, why would somebody not be responding? How can I tell if it was a heart attack? How can I tell if it's a brain aneurysm? How can I tell if somebody's lungs are punctured? The immediate searches is how to get blood out of wood, how to get blood out of carpet, how long before a body starts to smell. Murder.com. We need to talk about that. If I'm the prosecution, I go through those searches in chronological order. And after I do the searches, I go through the videos in chronological order. And I let them know the first time he told somebody she was missing. And then I start on the premeditation. Look at these slippers. Where did blood come from? You mean to tell me he started chopping in his house shoes? I fucking doubt it. You mean to tell me he started cutting her up while he was wearing house shoes? I fucking doubt it. He spent $500 at Lowe's. You think he about to start cutting in house shoes? No, this blood came before that. And why all of a sudden did he lose his phone? And why did he need to tell somebody he lost his phone? He got 17 different Apple devices. You do know how to find a phone, don't you? It's very simple. You find your phone. If Anna is the tech expert in the house, she's home now. She can just look it up. Come on, we can go look for it. We can find our iPhone. He don't want to have his phone because he got something he planning to do. You heard her friend tell you that Anna said she was mad at him for calling all these people on Christmas because I just talked to her an hour before. He was laying the trail. He was laying it down, making sure that nobody would question why he wasn't looking for her right away. So he could say, I almost got mad at me last time I did that, so I didn't do it this time. He was laying the breadcrumbs. He was laying the breadcrumbs. I would not be surprised if he's the one who told Anna to leave her car in DC. Don't bring your car back here. You might as well leave it there. So that when I say she's missing and her car's in DC, the search begins in DC. He told his probation officer a week before, I need a 5-hour time slot, and that dumb whore gave it to him. I think they need to be very methodical because the defense is going to get up there and say all this evidence is circumstantial. And juries sometimes are annoying. People are annoying in general, but juries sometimes are annoying because while they try to take their job seriously, sometimes people go overboard. And I've seen it in a lot of these, in like Court TV's chat and Law and Crimes chat, and even in EDB's chat. People are like acting like they just cannot get there. I just cannot get there. I just cannot get there with premeditation. And it's because people don't understand reasonable sometimes. The standard is not any and all doubt. It's reasonable doubt. What is reasonable? Is it reasonable that she dropped dead and he did not immediately call 911? That's not reasonable. Why would your sons think something happened to her? Think that you did something to her when the ambulance comes and take her to the hospital and say she had a heart attack? You tell your sons, mommy had a heart attack. It's not reasonable to think that. When people are in the comments saying, I just don't have enough, I just don't have enough, what do you think you're going to have? Videotape? You're not going to have videotape. To say you don't have enough To say you don't have enough makes it so that future murders, future murderers know that all I have to do is get rid of this body and tell my own story because jurors are going to say they don't have enough. Circumstantial evidence is evidence and should be weighed just the same as direct evidence. What do you mean you don't have enough? Reasonably, what more do you want? You're never going to get him saying, I killed her. And you're never going to get Anna saying, I'm scared of him. Because she could absolutely not have been. Sometimes people go to the extreme with reasonable. And I jump back and forth over that jump rope because you want defendants to have all the protections of the Constitution and you want people to do their job and you want to make prosecutors prove their case. But when you have stuff like this, it's like, don't outthink yourselves. Don't outthink yourselves. Oh, Tammy Lynn, I would never be a prosecutor. I would never be a prosecutor. Don't outthink yourselves and don't overthink yourselves and don't think that you're ever going to. Most murder cases that go to trial don't have direct evidence because otherwise they take the deal because what's the point? They're not going to have video. But what is reasonable? It is not reasonable that this very healthy 38, how old on a 37, 38-year-old woman in an hour, because he just said he went upstairs for and came back downstairs for an hour and went back up. It is not reasonable that this woman completely dropped dead. And it is also not reasonable that he thought it was you cannot revive her because her body wouldn't even be cold yet. You don't know when she stopped, but she could have stopped breathing as soon as you hit the top of the stairs. You did no resuscitation efforts, didn't call 911. That's not reasonable. It's just not reasonable. Now, whether his intent was to kill her, I think so. I think so. But that's what the prosecution is going to have to, that's what they're going to have to harp on. They're going to have to harp on the intent. And I think you get that by all the steps he took in advance. That's just my opinion. But we're going to see, because closing arguments should have started by now. And I'm glad I got some fast forward space because I be skipping over them sidebars because they be getting on my nerves. Anywho, thank you guys for joining me on this great Friday. I hope everybody's going out tonight. Have a drink or two. I gotta go Christmas shopping. Y'all know my tree isn't up yet. I don't even have my tree up yet because my oldest daughter hasn't come home from college yet. And I just feel like I can't put my tree up without my baby. I know she's grown now, but we have a tradition. We've been putting our tree up together forever. Back when we had a little Charlie Brown tree. My baby been with me through the trenches, okay? I had that baby at 19. She was with me. She was with me shooting in the gym. Can't put my tree up without my baby. Both my babies. But she comes home next week. And we're going to put our tree up finally. And then I'll get more in the Christmas spirit. You know what it is this year, y'all. I mean, I got to keep myself somewhat in the Christmas spirit because I have a little baby. I mean, she's not little. She's 5. But I have a little kid. But some about this year, it's not giving Christmas. I feel like Cindy Lou Who. Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you? I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe once I get the tree up, and maybe I feel like it. Maybe I get the Christmas tree up. We put up our Christmas tree. We wear our Christmas pajamas. We turn on Christmas music. It's a whole thing. Maybe that'll put me in the mood. But so far, Santa can skip right on. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. The tree will do it. I think the tree will do. I think the tree will too. So far, I be forgetting it's December sometimes. I ain't gonna. I be forgetting that Christmas in what, 2 weeks? I literally forget. I gotta go get wrapping paper. I gotta find somewhere to hide these gifts till Santa bring them. Maybe that's what it is, Team Wicked Smart. Maybe it's still too far out. And I haven't done a lot of shopping. I've done all online shopping. I feel like maybe I need to go in some stores this weekend and see all their Christmas decor and Christmas music. And maybe that'll put me in the mood. I don't know. I don't know. Some will do it. Anywho, thanks guys for checking in with me on this Friday. We'll see what these closing arguments about, and we will be talking about them. We will be talking about them. How long? I'm not going to ask that question because I need to see closings first. I was going to say, how long do we think before we have a verdict? But I feel like I need to hear what they say in closing because closing can sometimes give people something to think about. Sometimes it puts the facts together for the jurors in a way they didn't think of before. And so it gives them a little more to think about. But without hearing closing, I say 2 days. I say 2 days. Really a day and a half. And I am praying for murder one. He's getting some type of murder, but I think they prove murder one. And I think he sealed the deal on murder one by not testifying after he said that he would. That's just my opinion. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good day. Have a good Friday. Go have a drink. Go do your shopping. And if you ain't got the money to go shopping, tell them kids, oh well. Flick on the lights and be like, woo, Merry Christmas. Cause it ain't nobody got time to be going crazy about this Christmas. These Christmas gifts is killing yourself over Christmas. Nobody has time. Make sure y'all take care of yourselves and each other. Yes, make sure y'all like and subscribe. Do all the YouTube things. I'm going to get better at saying that. And I hope y'all have a good day. Bye. Bye, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.